Branding, as you know, because you're in the same industry, is all about customer experience. If the customer feels, good about you, they feel safe about you, they feel that there's value and quality, that is what branding should do for any company.
I'm more curious about all those referrals given. How the heck is that happening? That's all 25 plus 17 referrals given inside and outside. What do you do and then give so many referrals?
Well, you will see that I have sponsored a lot of visitors. I'm a Gold Badge member, have been for a long time. Having worked in corporate for almost 38 years, I never wanted to, when I started my own company, have any kind of HR or that kind of part of it. So I do 1099 freelancers to help me out with the creative end of it. And then BNI, selfishly, is my corporation.
I'm constantly referring to BNI is like a business. You're actually making it your business, and you're bringing in those partners to be a part of your team. You just don't have to have them on your roster and have to absorb that payroll. And they're giving you, in turn, the giver's gain of it. I'm sure you're getting more business from it, but you don't have the liability of having to employ these people and pay for all the things that go with having people report to you. So I love that so much. Welcome to the Perfect 100, the podcast for BNI members who want to maximize their membership, deepen their impact, and grow their business through intentional networking. I'm your host, Tammy Zurak, a CliftonStrengths coach, longtime BNI leader, and one of the few members worldwide to maintain a perfect Power of One score. Each week, we'll explore the habits, mindsets, and everyday strategies of BNI members who are turning their membership into momentum. Hello, and welcome back to the Perfect 100 podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Zurak. Today, I'm joined by someone whose career blends creativity, strategy, and purpose. Robert Brown, the owner of Twang Design Studio in Fort Myers, Florida. Before launching his studio, Robert spent years in the apparel industry as an executive, helping J America expand from supplying college bookstores to getting their sweatshirt and t-shirt lines into high-end big box retailers nationwide. He built and led art teams, shaped brand decisions, and translated ideas into products people actually wanted to wear. When he moved to Florida 10 years ago, he built both a business and a network from the ground up. And today, he's a leader in the BNI Fireside chapter, one of the largest and most successful chapters in the region. He's served as vice president, president, on the membership committee, and as visitor host, and was recommended to me by his area director. Robert, I'm so excited to have you here. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Tammy. It is an honor to be here with you today. Robert Brown, Twang Design Studio. We are a brand development, brand management studio. We specialize in helping young entrepreneurs and people that have gone in and bought businesses rebrand themselves or brand themselves, giving them their visual identity and helping them find their mission and vision statements. We help guide them and let them do what they do best, and we do what we do best to help develop their brand in the marketplace and drive customer loyalty through what we do for them.
Awesome. Well, I love that you rolled right into telling us who you were, because usually I have to tell people what to do. I'm really good at doing that. I'm just kidding. All right. Everybody who knows me just laughed. So you've had kind of a fascinating career. Like I said, you kind of led art teams, creative design in the apparel industry, and now you run your own design studio. What does Twang Design Studio focus on today, and what part of your work makes you, gives you the most satisfaction?
Being in the apparel industry and for many years, I'm not going to go, in depth on how many years.
Telling us how old you are, yeah.
Right. I did a lot of trend researching and in different markets, and over the years, I learned how to identify what is driving business and identifying niches in the marketplace. Being able to bring that to my clients now as a brand developer is I can go in and look at their industry, their specialty, look at their competition in the marketplace and help them develop their niche and elevate their look above all the noise. So that's in a nutshell kind of what we do here.
Okay, cool. And J America, as I also mentioned, hired you specifically to help kind of elevate the line that they were working on. They had their stuff in campus bookstores, and when we were talking about that pre the interview here, I had a flashback to going to. I went to Kent State, and going in, you're real excited to get all your campus gear, and so that was where the niche was, but they wanted to move it forward. So, what did and you wanted to go into the big box retailers. So, what did that transition teach you about large scale branding and product development?
Well, even before J America, I was working with large box retailers in a couple of different departments. And in those departments, I learned what triggers the merchandise managers and the DMMs, divisional managers, to give you space in their planograms and in their retail space. Um, with J America, they were the leaders in high-end bookstores. They were exclusive in Notre Dame's bookstore, one of the best bookstores in the country. Very loyal base there, the alumni base. They had broken into online. We wanted to take that kind of high-end merchandise and bring it to these high-end retailers. We had to differentiate because we couldn't sell the same thing we were selling at the bookstore because that was more exclusive. But we wanted to elevate it above what was happening in the lower tier, the Targets and the Walmarts of the world, so that it felt like it matched the mix that you would have at those higher level retail stores.
Right. I worked for, when I was it must have been in between high school and college. I must have been, or it had to have been college. I worked for the Gap. And so I just had a flashback to when you were talking about this, just folding everything and looking perfect and the presentation and, kind of trying to, because you said the planogram and that was that hit my brain like a ton of bricks because everything had literally they had t-shirt folders and everything had to be just so. So what is that thing that you so how did you differentiate? What is that thing that makes you unique?
Well, it's mostly it came into the garment. I mean, the decoration techniques are what they are. There's screen print, there's embroidery, there's some other embossing kind of techniques that we could use. But the garments and the fabrics that we used are really what elevated uh, the product to make it fit in with, the overall feel of the store.
Yeah, that makes sense. That I know that I tend to avoid places like Target and, the Walmarts of the world for that reason is you can feel the difference when you buy a sweater or you buy, that sweater is going to be you're not going to be able to wear it next year.
Right,
It's just not going to
right,
last it versus a, higher end garment. You can feel the difference from the start. It's not scratchy, all the things that kind of that lower thread counts, I guess, and things like that cause when that is not a luxury experience.
right, right. I mean, the bookstores taught us that long lasting fabric, the heavier weights, the more refined finish on the outside, um, better sewing techniques. If we were doing blocking or whatever with the silhouettes that we were presenting, we could target specific areas in the store. So we could do a ladies, we could do a juniors look, we could do young men's looks, and then we could do more traditional, uh, you know, what we call the varsity look, which is stadium wear. Uh, so that was interesting in how we laid out the mix so that it could fit in not just one department, in several departments in the store.
I find this very interesting because for people that either listen to the podcast or know me, know that I've focused on helping people build their brands in their business, but not in the way that you do. So it's always interesting as it plays out across different, those of us. There's a lot of different ways to tackle your brand. I was a portrait photographer, for a long time. I help people take pictures that they could use to brand themselves, and you're talking about a different way of standing out, whether that's a look, a feel, an arrangement, the even the association. I always like to think about um, my husband's business, which is where my podcast studio sits within, it's in a strip mall, and when you pull into the strip mall, it doesn't look, how do I want to say this? Our little slice of the pie looks nicer than some of the rest of them. And that makes a difference. Is everything from the minute your eyeballs hit something to the full experience walking through the door, everything matters. And if you're a brand that doesn't have a retail space, that's no different. It's, that eyeballs hitting your stuff is online, or when you hand someone your business card, or your pamphlet, or whatever. Your physical presence is part of your brand. So all of that matters. So I love, love this conversation. And speaking of that, so you work across studio art, illustration, and design to create a brand identity. How do those creative disciplines shape the way you help businesses develop a visual identity?
Branding, as you know, because you're in the same industry, is all about customer experience. If the customer feels, good about you, they feel safe about you, they feel that there's value and quality, that is what branding should do for any company. So we approach that from two areas. Again, we go back to our trend research into the marketplace, making sure that we know who the competition is and what the niche of the company is and what their values are. Then the other part of it is representing the owner. It's a good visual identity, a good brand logo should represent. It should be a tool to brand you in the marketplace, but it should also be like getting a fresh haircut or putting on your favorite shirt, or it's that feeling that you get when you put it on and you show it that you have pride in what it is. So I like to include something about the owner, about the company personally, as well as professionally, to get that just right logo that does two things. It makes the owner feel good about themselves, and it makes the customer feel good about the business.
Yeah, love that. I my husband always jokes that my hair is part of my brand. So because I've had this kind of hair for quite some time, and people pick me out of a room because the hair looks the way the hair looks. And he's like, you should probably work that into your brand. So I'm like, I don't know if I want a big hairdo as part of my brand, but there's that thought. So
Right.
So I mentioned you're in BNI Fireside chapter, which right now is around 50 members, but it was once as big as 72 members before Hurricane Ian hit. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Ian, I had to look this up, but it happened in 2022, and it was the deadliest hurricane to strike the state of Florida since 1935, and became the third costliest weather disaster on record worldwide. Having been in BNI for a very long time, I know when a natural disaster happens that BNI members pull together. Can you tell me a little bit about that time?
The economy in Fort Myers, Florida, because we're a snowbird area of Florida, so our population rises and falls with the seasons. Uh, and the economy here is really driven by the trades, which helps a BNI chapter a lot, because if the trades are rocking, then you're trading a lot of dollars and a lot of referrals in the chapter and beyond the chapter in the whole area. Um, Ian hit, and all the trades were very busy afterwards. The GCs, everybody. And so we dropped quite a few members just because they couldn't show up to the meeting. And we tried to, do some modification, pivot, uh, a
Yeah.
keyword there, pivot, and, open up Zoom again, which we had some pretty good practice with because of the pandemic. So we allowed them to be on the work site and try to keep them engaged and involved, and did a blended thing. But even after that, it's we lost a lot of members. But um, a member of my chapter who was president at the time, and I was vice president at the time, got our heads together and really started driving some membership uh, visitor days and contests and things to up visitor participation in the chapter. And that's actually after being that we got up to 72 members
Okay.
because of those things. We got people coming back. We've got people with that could see that after the bubble of all the construction and roofs and everything, there was going to be a lull that they could, if they didn't keep up with their networking and keep up with their branding and their marketing, they could be left out in the cold once
Right.
everything happened. So,
They still
um,
needed to eat, so they still needed to be, talking to people.
yep. I mean, you can eat today, but it's also important to eat tomorrow.
Right.
So that's the message we gave them, and it worked out great for us.
Yeah, and, and that even without the severity of a hurricane kind of wiping out the area, it's true regardless, right? As for a lot of tradespeople, it's a feast and famine kind of business. So, they kind of through the HVAC through the summer. Well, here where I'm in the mid South, so it gets hot, and or in the winter, I lived up north before, then it just kind of flip flops. But the at a certain point, certain lawns in the north need attention, and then they need snow plowing in the winter if you're up north. So those things ebb and flow, but the smart business person recognizes that you've got to kind of figure out that ebb and flow, and you've got to put away for the slower times, and you've got to have a plan even in the busier times. That's the biggest challenge I think we have in BNI is we not the biggest, but one of the biggest, I guess, is when we get a lot of people who they get super busy and they're one owner, one person in their business, and then they're too busy to come to BNI. And that is every time I see that and they leave, I think, that's such not a good move, because you've got to plan for those times. You're not always going to be busy unless you have some very unique business that nobody else has, which exists, but it's not normal if you're HVAC or whatever. So I love that
Right.
you brought that up.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, the key to a BNI chapter, especially trades, is having that owner there because the buck stops there. Um, the next best is a business development manager or a sales manager, but having that owner there, when they say something or they commit to something, they don't have to answer to anybody. It's so. Um, but you're right. Once they, BNI kicks in and they become so busy, we've had that happen so many times. You
Yeah.
try to tell them, don't do this.
Right. Yeah.
You'll regret it.
We almost need a business plan on the front end. It's when we're interviewing people, I don't know that we all ask what happens when we blow your business up. What then? Because you're the only one. So if you're doing all the work, then what happens? What's your plan? And, if they don't have one, then maybe this is not the time because, that we need to figure that out, or we maybe get them with a business coach and, have them figure this out.
Right?
So
Yeah.
it sounds like a good feeder system I hadn't thought of. Well, and I do want to ask because I know several people, well, a lot of people probably listening to this now are not in a chapter of 50 plus people or certainly 70 plus people. How do you handle weekly, the presentations? Most chapters that are in the, let's say, 40 or under are getting 35, 40 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Seconds for their presentation. So, how does that work in a big group?
Well, we've kind of, I mean, it as a president, past president, getting people out on time, especially the trades, because 9 o'clock. I mean, we start our meeting, open networking at 7:15. Meeting starts at 7:30. Out the door by 9 o'clock. We really promise that. So our weekly ask, we get now 25 seconds, and people say, "Well, that's not enough time for me to ask for what I need." The thing about BNI is mentor coordinators and leadership really need to make sure that we are educating new members. The real rubber hits the road in one-to-ones.
Right.
That's when you get to tell your story and what your ask is. You get 30 minutes or so, and then you get to listen for 30 minutes or so, and then boom, that's where you get more business. You're not going to get that business in a 25 or even a 45 second.
Right. I always like to give the analogy or get people to think of it this way is if you're, if you've heard this before, I apologize, but if you rely on your weekly presentations and let's say there's 60 seconds, let's be generous, and there's 50 meetings in a year because of the holidays, easy math is that 60 seconds times 50 meetings is 50 minutes. And then you get a feature presentation for 10 minutes. So that's 60 minutes over the course of a year. Do you think that's enough about your business to get people to send other people to you?
Right.
And that's 60 seconds, right? So that's a whole year for an hour. I don't think that's going to work. So clearly that makes it, a little easier for people to understand the one-to-one is where we need to be, right?
Right.
All
Right.
right. So before we dive deeper into your BNI journey, let's talk about. We're going to roll over to your power of one. So every time I do these with people who are not in my general area, I always enjoy the process of having them send me their power of one because it always looks a little unique. And yours was no different. So I actually popped on the screen here. I wanted to kind of diagnose things a little bit because when you sent it to me, I was a little confused. So I want to tell everybody that Robert was referred to me because Robert was in the Perfect 100 Club for a long time. But we're going to talk about Robert's at 90 now and why. And 90 is amazing. So I know he wanted to explain to me why he's not a Perfect 100. And I get that feeling once you're at 100, you want to stay there and you want to be known for that because it's a good thing. But 90 is just as good. But I do want to point out I want to ask first, who does the chart at the top? Because we don't get that in my area. Where does yours come from? Do you know?
It actually comes from Connect.
Okay.
So being a graphic designer, I do these reports and we give them out on a monthly basis. We do our power of one, we do summary poems, and we do traffic lights.
Okay.
And we actually hand them out with our bulletin over the course of 3 weeks of the month. And if you go into Connect and um, you hit print instead of export and save as a PDF, this is what you get.
Okay. So the little roster thing, not roster, the little key, I guess is the word I'm looking for at the top for those of you that are looking at it on YouTube. And if you're listening to us elsewhere, go on YouTube and subscribe. But there's a little key at the top and it says attendance 94% to 100% is green and 20 points. Yet you have attendance of 94% and you are 15 points in the yellow. So I just wanted to point out that and I had to go and join the Art Academy in Memphis. Master the skills needed to create stunning, realistic oil paintings. With expert instruction, you'll refine your craft. Enroll today at artacademyofmemphis.com. Look, so this was me because I'm crazy about this stuff. I went and pulled a report to see why is this wrong. This should actually say, and if you go to theperfect100.com at the very bottom of the page, I borrowed and I just did a screenshot of the corner of it, but you can get the full report at the bottom of the screen that I posted from. Thank you, BNI Australia, for posting it online. You can see that 95% over the last 6 months is equal to 20 points. So the key up here is just off by 1. So because you would actually be green according to the key, but you're 95%. And so then I did a deeper dive figuring out, okay, what does it actually mean? Because you told me, and well, actually, I'll do the deep dive in a second. Let me read the report so people listening can hear where you're at. So you're at a total score of 90 in the green. Your attendance is at 15 points in the yellow. Your referrals per week are 20 points in the green. Your visitors per week are 15 points in the yellow. Your one-to-ones are 20 points in the green, and your CEUs per week are 20 in the green. Let's roll down to the PALMS report. All right, so you can see in the PALMS report is a more detailed view for those of you listening that can't see it. I will read it. There are 23 weeks showing. So for the absences, you have 0 absences, but you have 3 subs. And this we'll come back to and talk to in 1 second, because this is the point. But referrals given inside, 17. Referrals given outside, 25. Wow. Referrals received inside, 7. Referrals received outside, 5. Visitors, 5. One-to-ones, 35. And again, we're in 23 weeks. Thank you for closed business given, $23,646, and CEUs 57. So the point I was going to make about the score. So your BNI, and depends on where you are, because I had to search this. In my region, which is what I went from, in my region, you get half points for a sub. So instead of a full point, you get a half point, which is what causes you to drop. And if you have the crux, because this is a 6-month report, and I did not do the math, I had to have ChatGPT help me with this math because it was fairly complicated. But I spent a lot of time, so we're going to talk about it. So the tipping point is in 6 months at a half point, you can have 2 subs and still hit green. And you can keep a perfect 100, assuming you did all the other things at 20 points, which you have the ability, hopefully, to control somewhat. You can still keep 100, because I'm like, I need to make sure I keep 100. I run a podcast called The Perfect 100. So more almost for my own knowledge, I was like, I better check this out. Right. So you can have 2 subs in 6 months at half point and keep 100. You have 3 subs and you cannot. So that is because it's not the way, and if anybody wants to see the math, send me an email. I will happily send it to you. But it took some calculations to go through 6 months and figure out what is that. And that also depends. I will add the caveat. It depends on how many weeks are in those 6 months, because some months have 5 weeks and some months have 4 weeks. That is based on I think it was a 4-week, the way it calculated it. But so if my math is off, it's because the weeks are off, and that's ChatGPT's off. But just so you know, having 3 is going to kill you. So, but life happens. You have things to do. Sometimes you have to have a sub. So no detriment to you. You sent a sub. You had 0 absences. So congratulations, you're 90, which was very long-winded. So how do you feel about all of that?
Well, I'm surprisingly enough, a very, very much A-type personality. So it kind of rubs my fur the wrong way, but it is what it is. I celebrated my 40th wedding anniversary this past September by going to the Basque country of Spain with my wife and spending
Nice.
2 weeks there. So 2 subs there. And then I came back, and 3 weeks later, I went out to Colorado to visit with my son, who is a professional mountain trail runner. So I spent a week out there, had my 3rd sub, and I knew it was going to kill me, but sometimes, that work-life balance happens.
Yes, it does. And it's a bummer when it kills your report, but but that's okay. You're allowed to have a life. And 90 is very, very good. I'm more curious about all those referrals given. How the heck is that happening? That's 25 plus 17 referrals given inside and outside. What do you do and then give so many referrals?
Well, You will see that I have sponsored a lot of visitors. I'm a gold badge member, have been for a long time. Having worked in corporate for almost 38 years, I never wanted to, when I started my own company, have any kind of HR or that kind of part of it. So I do 1099 uh, uh, freelancers to help me out with the creative end of it. And then BNI, selfishly, is my corporation. Um, I have a printer that I invited to the chapter. I have a vehicle wrap person that I invited to the chapter. I have a one of my best partners in the room is a printer. I have an SEO website guy in the chapter. I have a business coach in the chapter. I have all of these, a paycheck guy, a payroll guy. So I can help my customers and then refer like 5 referrals out of each interaction I have with my clients. So, and I don't have any of that HR.
Right. I love that so much in so many ways. The viewpoint of it's your business, because that I say that a lot. If you listen to the podcast, I'm constantly referring to BNI is like a business. You're actually making it your business, and you're bringing in those partners to be a part of your team. You just don't have to have them on your roster and have to absorb that payroll, and they're giving you, in turn, the giver's gain of it. I'm sure you're getting more business from it, but you don't have the liability of having to employ these people and pay for all the things that go with having people report to you. So I love that so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's worked out great. And you're right. It's a two-way street. My printer, she'll have people come to her. Their logo was drawn on a napkin. I can step in, develop logo for them, make them look good, and hopefully gain them as a client. Same way with my website, SEO guys, same way with my vehicle rep person. So it's a flow of business. We have 2 very strong power teams in our chapter, our trades power team and our B2B family services power team. Um, so those both work. Oh, and I also invited a videographer into the group, and
Of course
he
you did.
is rocking and rolling. He does all sorts of everything from commercial development ads to podcasts to TikTok development for people that want to use that as their social media platform.
Yeah, that's amazing. We just brought somebody like you into our chapter, and she's only been in, I don't know, less than a month, I would say. And she got her featured presentation this past week, and she put pictures up of all the people in the chapter, the business coach, which is me, obviously, and then there's a printer, there's a promotional products person, there's a website person, there's a so and so. She put pictures of us all up and said, "This is my team." She's 4 weeks in. She already recognizes. I'm like, "That's so amazing that you can look at it and see it for what it is." For those of you that are listening, that if you're not looking around the room in your chapter and going, "These what Robert just said is gold," that these are the people that work in your business. They just don't work in your business, right? They're on your team, and if they're not, you're looking around the room looking at those people going, "That's not somebody I would hire." You might wanna have a second look at your chapter, right? Is your membership committee, who are we accepting, or the people that we're keeping? And the bottom of that, power of one is the gray people. Those are the people that are not contributing to your business. Would you keep them in your business if they actually work for you? So, and that the dividends that pays, is can be life altering, right?
Yeah.
So, very cool. So, you have been a lot of roles in your chapter. What did you learn from kind of putting on all the different hats and, stretching yourself into those different things?
At the end of the day, uh, the measuring tool that I use is the VCP, uh, you know, of BNI, visibility, credibility, equals profitability. So being at the front table, being a coordinator is that involvement that people, gain trust, credibility in you. So for me, I mean, again, a personality, got to be up, got to be involved. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to be, all in.
Right.
Um, and finding using my corporate background especially helped me in vice president chairing the membership committee, and doing exactly what you talk about is not only making sure you vet who gets in the room, but addressing people that are, habitually in the gray or in the red, and mentor them up,
Right.
or mentor them out,
Out.
as needed,
Yes.
so that your chapter is strong and the other part that you learn to do in especially vice president is just making sure that you quash any nonsense going on. And there's personalities, you just have to make sure that this is a business. This is a business platform. We don't care about your petty little deals. We just
Right.
want you to, be a business person here. Anything else that happens, take care of it outside of the chapter, but don't bring that noise inside.
Yeah.
Um, President, I just love being a cheerleader for other people. One of the things that helps me uh, stay in business and keep in business is I love working with young entrepreneurs. It gives me something that I can't really put into words. It is the thing that makes me get up in the morning and work, uh, is helping that young entrepreneur or that new entrepreneur. It just butters my bread. So
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Um, so what would you say is the biggest challenge or frustration of being in a big chapter like that? How do you see members struggling, and how do you keep people staying visible and connected?
Again, it's all about making sure they understand this as a business. And the great thing about our chapter is, I mean, we have a good social side to our chapter. We do a lot of events and spotlights and support each other. If somebody's sick or whatever, I mean, there's an outpouring of support in the chapter. Um, but making sure that we keep those things not totally separate, but separate enough that they don't interfere with each other. Um, and a big chapter is just making sure that we're doing the things. I mean, Dr. Meisner learns a lot of things as he goes along, and I'm sure you've watched a lot of his podcasts. When
He
he
did
found out,
he did this one, so yes.
yes, yes. So I mean, he talks about the mistakes that he made, or the things that he learned, and the things that he modified as he grew into what it is now. And it continues to modify here and there as needed. So, it's all about that word pivot, that we keep on talking about. So that's the biggest thing for me, is just making sure that you have an open mind, but you do it the way it's written. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
It's laid out for you. Just stay in the lane, and if something comes up, just run it up the flagpole and see if leadership above you can help you out.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, and for those of you that haven't seen Ivan Meisner's episode here on this podcast, he does talk about all of those things in just that way. We talk a lot about why things are the way they are and how they got that way. So it's a great watch, and you get CEUs for all of these podcasts, so you can go watch that one and add another one on top of this one. So there you go. All right, let's roll over to your Clifton strengths. So I'll read from the top to the bottom. Number one is learner. You have a great desire to learn and want to continuously improve. The process of learning rather than the outcome excites you. Your number two is ideation. You are fascinated by ideas. You see connections that others don't and can view the world from different perspectives. Number three is belief. You have certain core values that are unchanging. These values provide direction and a strong sense of purpose. Your number four is strategic. You quickly spot patterns and issues that others miss. You generate alternative paths forward and choose the most effective one. And your number five is achiever. You work hard and possess a great deal of stamina. You take immense satisfaction in being busy and productive. So, how do you feel about all that?
You know, it's funny. I had never done that particular assessment before, and it's spot on. I mean, my my I am 67 years old. I have been continually doing something for money since I was 13. Where I took a comic book and answered one of those ads in the back and started selling greeting cards door to door in my
Oh my gosh.
neighborhood. And oh yeah, so I could get their prizes. They didn't pay you money, but
Yeah.
you know,
It's an
um,
achievement though, isn't it?
it is, and it's that self-worth, part of work that gives you identity.
Yeah.
So that's um, yeah. And as far as the stamina thing goes, I think my wife would agree with me when I say that I can probably never retire because I would drive her crazy.
Right.
Yeah, so I have to stay busy, so
That's funny.
she stays sane.
Yes.
And that being 40 years with her is a blessing I can't even describe. So I want to
Keep that going.
keep that going. I don't want to mess that deal up. So
That's
um,
amazing, and congratulations
right,
on 40 plus years, yeah.
yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I live by pretty much one simple tenet, and I will repeat it endlessly to anybody that will listen. I will always try to do the next right thing, and that is that's what um, makes me who I am as far as business and personally. It is just do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's
You can't go wrong when you're doing that, right?
yeah.
So, you have learner and ideation. Those give you constant curiosity and a mind full of ideas. How does that fuel your creative process when you're working with clients?
You know, I I always I people ask me, well, what's your style when I'm developing a logo? Because most studios they have a certain style that they do. I do not. My team, which is freelancers, including my son, who has a degree in illustration and graphic design. Um, we kick around ideas. I do an interview with the client if it's a brand development client, and I find out where they want to be, what their vision is, what their 10-year goal is, what is the end goal. And then I want to find out about them and their family and where they came from and how they came up and what's important outside of work for them. What are their values? And we take that and it's a two page interview list. We distill that down. We share it in a Zoom meeting with my freelancers, and then I send them off to do things. I am old school. Um, and that came up in this assessment in that I love to read.
Yes.
I don't listen to books on tape. I have to read the words. I want to touch the book. I also insist that my freelancers hand draw every idea they come up with. Hand drawing creates something that the digital tools can't. The
Okay.
digital tools are important when you go to finalize your idea. But for me, that hand-drawn ideation is key because it's the brain communicating directly with your hand.
Yeah.
And it creates, so we share these sketches, these thumbnails, sketches, and then we say, okay, let's take this idea, and take it digitally and bring it out a little bit further, and then we get back together and make our cuts. And usually we come up with that one idea. And once we get that one idea, then we, you know, we take it and we run it around the block. Because a logo is a tool,
Right.
and that tool needs to work in all different ways. It needs to work on websites. It needs to work in print, on business cards, on advertising. So we kick around signage. We kick around, we actually do layouts of all those different things. And if it doesn't work there, then we have to go back to the drawing board and find something that does work. Because if the tool doesn't do what it needs to do in the real world.
Staying ahead in a world driven by technology is key. At Wisdom Integrators, we don't just solve problems, we create opportunities. Wisdom Integrators, connecting your world, solving your problems.
Yeah.
So
That's not a good thing. Well, it's interesting, the hand drawing thing that you mentioned. So I was listening to something a couple weeks ago that talks about right brain versus left brain, and how we're so, if you have anxiety because you're busy all day doing the thing, following up on the emails and the phone and the this and the that. And I'm wondering so I paint. My husband has a painting school, and I'm one of the students. And they talked about how painting is one of the things that it's like there's a toggle switch in your brain, and if you want to relieve that anxiety, you do that painting or other things that, and they're like, it could be meditation, things that are just right brain. And I wonder if that thing that you're talking about doesn't just unlock the creativity a little bit more, than because it kind of the digital, I've been a portrait photographer for more than a decade, and a lot of editing on Photoshop and all that, but that's all in your system, right? It isn't on a piece of paper. And I'm still paper, and I like to, I like the physical touch of things and like that as well. I love books. And I love to read, but I don't have the time in the kind of world that we live in. I have to listen to audiobooks now, but I love the physical touch of a book.
right.
And I love having, even if somebody's reading it to me, I still will buy the book and put it on the shelf because I want to refer back to it, and have the physical entity of it because it means something. But I wonder if that's not kind of what your process is unlocking, is that just pure creativity?
Absolutely. I mean, having a book in your hand, there's um, all sorts of senses going on there. There's the physical touch sense, the smell of a book, that ink on paper smell, and then the actual reading the words, and you can go back, and if something didn't quite click, you can go back and read that sentence over, that paragraph over, and then, have that aha moment of, oh, this is what the precursor of the next chapter I remember. And yeah, so
Yeah.
that part of it. And art is no different. I mean, pulling out paper and pen, or uh the smell of the ink or smell of paint.
Right.
Sometimes I pull out my watercolors to just do a wash, or some markers, and that smell and that touch and the feel, and then the senses get involved, and it really unlocks that right brain creativity in a lot of different ways, a lot of different senses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And kind of soothing too, because you're not in that, you can't be in an anxiety state when you're in creative brain. So that's, just if you're listening and you're not interested in any of this, but it's a good thing to do for your own health, is to do something that takes you out of that anxiety all the time by doing something creative, whatever that is for you. So very cool. So strategic thinkers, I am my number one strength is strategic and your number 4 is strategic. So we see patterns where others see noise. How do you apply that when a client comes to you with an unclear or messy brand?
It's uh, that can be a very sensitive subject because sometimes somebody gets into business and their daughter or niece or their girlfriend or their husband has done a logo for them, and there you are looking at it going, "Yes." But you got to hide that, you got to poker face that and say, well, I'm going to approach that from a much more strategic standpoint. And, when we do that interview and when we come back and do the logo presentation, we talk about their competition and we show them what their competition looks like. And, that way they can see what they have doesn't quite match what is going on in the marketplace and what they have to get elevated above.
Yeah.
So it is key to not insult right
Yes.
off the bat. And that can happen. I'm a very uh, animated person when I talk. So it's hard for me to keep that poker face and not,
Same.
cringe. uh, and step on people's toes. In the beginning, a long time ago, when I first got in that, I could not hide that, and it got me in trouble a couple of
Yes.
times.
Yes.
Um, it's very important to be delicate with especially young entrepreneurs that are just putting their shingle out and making that leap
Right.
and not insulting them or their family
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form, but just
Yes.
show them, from an analytical, strategic standpoint, what you're trying to do for them that's going to elevate them and their vision.
Perfect. So, achiever means you thrive on productivity and action. I also have achiever in mine as well. How do you manage that drive while working on longer creative projects, especially ones that require a lot of patience or many iterations of, trying to get to the one that they like?
It's and the key word there is patience.
Hmm.
One of the things that whole right brain thing does is that you have to make sure um, with that focus, because I can get lost. I mean, I can get totally lost in a project, and I mean, all sound, anything around me is gone. It just
Flow. We
disappears.
call that in the
And
flow. Yes.
I'm just right there. And one, I have to train anybody around me to not interrupt
Yes.
because once you interrupt that train, um, but uh, it's just about patience, and not everybody can see what I can see,
Right.
and I can't see everything they see.
Right.
So I got to know that about myself. I'm not perfect, and I know one of the things that I tell my clients is, why I don't do my own eye exams. I'm not an optometrist.
Right.
You are an electrician, a plumber, a house painter, a lawyer, whatever your profession is, that's what you do.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing your own branding
Right.
if you want to scale your business.
Yes.
And so the bottom line is you want to scale your business, you want to get larger, you want to grow, you want to earn more money, then you've got to let go of some of these things that, you know,
Yeah. And you may have already said this, but what's one branding mistake that you see small businesses make again and again?
not understanding the importance of branding is the
Okay.
key thing. I mean, that's the absolute key thing. Another thing that I tell my clients is take the highest paid employee you have in your company, and that's how much you should spend on branding a year.
Okay.
And branding includes advertising, marketing,
Right.
SEO, all this stuff. Create that budget because that is an employee of your business. Branding is an employee.
Right.
It is doing the work that sometimes is hard to see. And one of the things as a brand person, is helping people understand the return on investment, the
Right.
ROI. And some of that ROI is hard to quantify. One of the things that I tell people, one of the first things I tell people as part of your branding experience is you have to be involved in your community. And getting involved in your community, sponsoring different events, showing up at events, uh, donating, pick your donation spot. You don't necessarily crow about it, but you're out there with your brand being involved in the community. Is
Yes.
the return on investment something that I can report to you on? Not really.
Right.
But I will tell you, it is it is so important. And different things that you learn over the years of doing these things. That one is probably one of the most critical ones. Is be involved in your community.
Yeah, I agree, and I've gotten more so ingrained in the community in the last year or so than I ever have. I'm the president of the community's um, Chamber of Commerce ambassadors, and it's amazing. People everywhere I go, even people I don't know me, and that's the whole thing, right? I know the importance of branding, but it's another layer. I mean, I was walking. I think I've told the story before too, but I was walking my dog in my neighborhood, and a lady was pulling in or out of her driveway, and she wanted to see my dog, and so we got talking, and she knew who I was, and I didn't never. I'm like, "Have we met?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "How do you know? Like, are you stalking me? What's going on here?" And I had photographed her friends, and she knew who I was because of that. She had seen my picture. She'd been referred to me, and I've never met her. But she knew I was the lady walking in her neighborhood with my dog. So I was like, people, this is branding,
Yeah.
right? It's when people know who you are and you don't know who they are. That's when you know you've started on the right journey. So that's great. I love that. What is the biggest transformation you've seen when somebody finally does invest in their brand in the right way?
There's so many stories that picking one out. We had a company here. This is a good one. A company here, um, and in the transformation of Southwest Florida, uh, especially the Fort Myers, Cape Coral area, over the last, I don't know, 50 years has been amazing. 50 years ago, Fort Myers was a uh, fishing and shrimping business. That's what drove the economy.
Okay.
Um, and it has evolved past that. I mean, shrimping is still a big thing here, fishing less so. Um, but now it has been found as a destination for the snowbirds. So it's really a bedroom community, a lot of gated communities, upscale communities, and then you have a lot of communities that are people that are 12-monthers that are in the service industry or in the trades that are supporting
Right.
the snowbirds. So that's what drives the economy now. Bose Electric here in Fort Myers was one of those original electric companies, obviously started by a guy named Bo. Um, and one of the things that I tend to tell my clients, unless you're a law office or a doctor's office, do not name your company after yourself, because at the end of the line, you want to sell your business.
Yeah.
People don't necessarily want your
Want your
name on their
name.
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bo started the business in '73, ran it up until I think it was 2015, 16. Sold it to a guy that never been in the electric business before, but he was a coordinator, a guy that just knew how to pull people together to make a business run. He bought the business. Now, Bo's logo was, I think, some lettering that he bought at the hardware store and pasted on the side of his truck. It was just black lettering on a white truck, and it said Bose Electric. That was the whole branding technique for Bose. And it was all word of mouth how he got his business. Um, we went in there. My friend bought the business, and let's see, we got involved with him through BNI, and we rebranded him, got him a new logo, sat down with him, helped him figure out how to do vehicle wraps, how to get business cards, got him into BNI, and he built that business. And Bose was probably doing, I don't know, and I really don't know the bottom line numbers, but he was doing less than $1 million a year.
Okay.
Within 4 years, 4.5 years, they were the King Kong of generators here in Southwest Florida, which
Mm,
is a huge business.
right.
Um, they were the largest distributor of at-home generators. They even bought a gas company so they could actually install gas tanks or hook them up to uh, uh, existing infrastructure. Um, and they sold the business for $20 million in four
Nice.
and a half years.
Wow.
Now, that is a great story
Yes.
uh, for how to build a brand where no brand existed before.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. Love that. Um, yeah, it's so you don't I think most people, how do I put this? People don't spend their time thinking about their brand.
No,
They just go, and it's like being a business coach is most people are busy, heads down, doing the thing they do. They've got a skill, talent, product, whatever it is, they're doing that. And that's what they're doing. And they're not looking at their whole business across all the fronts holistically saying, am I hitting on all fronts? Because can you
right,
do all the things? No, like you said with the eye, you're not your own eye doctor. I can't possibly do all the things well. I have to employ people who I can learn how to do those things, but I'm not going to be nearly as efficient or successful at those things as people who actually do that for work. Because that's their thing, right? I've got my lane, I'm going to stay in it. And if you don't take the time to step back and go, okay, where are we going here, and are we equipped to get there? And that's a great way to, it's coming into the new year here, so it's a great time to sit back and take stock of, okay, how did we do and what are we doing next year? So
yeah.
love that. So if you could go back to the beginning of your career, what advice would you give younger Roberts?
You know, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would change anything. I mean, in college, I was a painting and illustration major in the art department, and I was a double major. I was also in theater technical, so I designed sets and lighting and sound. So those things were all great, and I I I got out of college, and my first job was at an apparel company. And how that happened is while I was in school, one of my classmates' dad, it was North Carolina, Western Carolina University, up in the mountains of North Carolina. Apparel was still being made in this country, and there were
Right.
textile mills all over North Carolina. And one of my classmates' father owned a textile mill and would sell us like irregular T-shirts for like 25 cents a piece, and we would buy them by the carton load. And and I think the statute of limitations had run out, but we would borrow the uh, uh, the equipment and inks and squeegees from the print department at the art school.
Borrow,
And that,
quote unquote, but for those of you not watching, there was a quote unquote borrow.
um, and then we had student labor, all the other art students, and we printed T-shirts for intramural teams, sororities, fraternities, clubs. We made enough money in 2 semesters to buy a house,
Wow,
and we were like, "Hey!" And
we
so
got something
it,
here.
yeah, we got something here. So when I got out of college, I was beating the street trying to get a job as an illustrator. I moved to Washington, D.C., and I was not having a lot of success there. Um, DC is not an art town. It's a 4-year town.
Yeah, I lived there
It
for a
was
little while. Yeah.
right. So it was just doing layout and paste up, and I wasn't about that. But I answered an ad for an apparel company that wanted to add T-shirts to their mix, and I was like, "That I can do."
Yes.
So I helped develop that for them. So the bottom line is follow not just your education, but follow what you're good at. Just follow that path and again, just do the next right thing. Just keep on doing the next right thing. Follow your path, follow what comes comfortably, what gives you happiness, and then you'll be happy. Don't be don't get in a job and be miserable.
Yes. Yes. No reason to do that for sure.
Yeah,
Take a chance. It might work out. Yeah.
right.
All right. And if somebody listening wants to improve their branding but doesn't know where to start, what's the very first step they should take?
Call me.
I figured that might be it.
Yeah. No, again, it gets back to what we've been talking about is you're good at what you do.
Yes.
And I'm good at what I do, and you're
Yes.
good at what you do. Tammy is good at what she does. So give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and you stay focused on what you're good at. And we just talked about that is, do the right thing for you and let other people do what's right for you.
Right.
One of the things that I learned while being a manager in corporate is the hardest thing for a manager to do is let other people be right. If I get out of the way and I let other people be right and successful, then I'm successful. So the key there is don't hold on to something that really distracts you from what you're best at. Let people come into your business life that are going to partner with you to help elevate your business
And get them in your chapter, right? Yeah.
and invite them, invite them, invite them. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to roll to the quickfire round. It's just a quick, fun, fast answers, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So, number one question: if BNI had a Hall of Fame, what would you want to be remembered for?
Just being a great cheerleader.
Okay,
And that's
that's good. All right. What's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
I play bass.
Okay.
I actually my bass is sitting right here.
Nice. Okay. Um, well, and I don't know if that rolls into this one, but what song would play if you walked into a client meeting like a prize fighter?
Ramones, Hey Ho, Let's Go.
Okay, perfect. What's your creative ritual before starting a big project?
The interview. The interview.
All right. And if you could redesign any famous brand's logo, which would you tackle first?
Wow, that's a tough one. Wow.
Yeah.
There's
Not
so
like
many.
it's not gonna be Cracker Barrel, we know that much.
Yeah. There is that I use that as a great base for people. Don't mess with don't
Yeah.
if it's working, don't mess with it. But
Yeah.
probably Johnson and Johnson.
Okay. All right. And perfect Saturday, what's on the list?
A run and big breakfast.
All right. And what's the coolest project you ever worked on in the apparel world? Answer in just one sentence.
Developed a line of silk accessories for Peter Max.
Okay. What's the most underrated color in design?
Green.
Okay. I was thinking, I don't know why when I had that question, chartreuse came to mind.
Shade of green. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you said that's why I mentioned it. Who's been a key mentor and what's a lesson you still carry from that mentor?
Uh, a man named Jim Schmitz, he was a retail giant in Madison, Wisconsin. One of the things that he always told me is, I never got rich by saying no, but I lost money by saying yes.
Interesting. That's good advice. Um, Big box stores or campus stores, which audience is harder to design for?
Uh, Audience, campus stores.
Okay. And what always makes you laugh?
My son.
Okay. And finish this sentence. Success to me looks like.
Happiness.
All right. Well, Robert, thank you so much for being here today. I loved hearing about your creative journey, your BNI leadership journey, how your strengths showing up, and all the things that you do. Appreciate you taking your time out to tell us your story today.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's been a joy, and I can't wait to get to know you a little bit more in a business referral situation.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, we have some definite crossovers, so that's awesome. I look forward to doing another one-to-one with you. And for our listeners, this is episode 30, the final episode of season 1 of the Perfect 100 podcast. If you have been with me from the beginning, thank you. And if you're newer to the show, this is the perfect chance to catch up on all of the episodes you have not heard yet in the new year before we start season 2 next year. I also have a fun surprise coming in December. A special real estate mashup episode will be featuring some of the incredible agents, lenders, professionals, etc. that we've had on throughout this first season, so you don't want to miss that. And before we go, I want to say a huge thank you for those of you that helped me to get the 100 subscribers. We are now surpassed on YouTube, so I certainly appreciate that. That goal was mentioned over the last couple of episodes, and it's meaningful to me that you all have helped me get there. And don't stop though, because now there's a new one because I'm an achiever. So now let's go for 200. So I look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on season 2 of the Perfect 100. Thanks for listening to the Perfect 100. If today's episode sparked a new idea or inspired you to show up differently in your chapter, share it with your team, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you're curious about your own Clifton strengths and how to bring out the best in yourself or your chapter or your business, head to TammyZurak.com to learn more about building your superpowers into everything you do. Keep showing up, keep connecting, and keep building your Perfect 100.